Hey kiddos, today I'm going to talk about altruism. So what is altruism, right? It's when you do things for people without any expecting anything in return. Just, unconditional love, basically. So when you're working out of altruism, you're never falling into a karmic cycle. Technically, well, if you let people take advantage of you, then you can your energy will constantly get sucked off of you. So there is altruism with boundaries, right? So always have altruism with boundaries, because if you're constantly in unequal exchange of energy, then you're just going to be a wreck. Just getting your energy siphoned out of you all the time, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, altruism with boundaries is will lead you to an elevated state of consciousness, because it's like, if anybody asked me for anything, it's like, hey, can you do something for me? I'd be like, yeah, of course. I'd be perfectly happy to do whatever you need. I can help you and give you advice. Most of the time it's advice, but I can help you build something if you want to build something. I mean, I can pretty much do anything. And that's not my ego talking. It's just years of doing a lot of different things when it comes to, especially doing just manual labor type things, right? I mean, most of us have, if you've been in the construction trades and if you've been an electrician for a long amount of time, then you're pretty good at a lot of different things. And, depending on your skill level. But when it comes to altruism, for one thing, you're always going to be taken care of, because now you're always interacting with yourself. There isn't anything out there that's not you. So when you come into that agreement where you're like, okay, as long as if you ask me to do something, I'll do it for you, then that means whenever you ask for something, you will receive it. And it usually doesn't come in the way, you're not asking that person directly. It's just going to come another way. So whenever you need something, you'll get it, as long as you're providing for the people around you in a healthy way. Now, if somebody keeps coming back to you and say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that? Can you? And there's no equal exchange of energy, then eventually you're just like, me, sorry. Right? I mean, in a lot of ways, so like, if you're running a business and you're pulling money from your environment. So this is an example. And this is why the business community is going through an evolutionary process right now, because money is going to get harder and harder to come by, and eventually people are going to have to overcome this fear of needing money. You're kind of in a karmic cycle. You're pulling energy from your environment all the time, and so when you stop doing that, now you're going to get the energy back how you choose, how you want it to come back. That's how you start controlling your reality. Period. There's no other way to do it. You can't, if you're always in karmic debt to your surroundings, then how does the energy come back to you, right? You have a karmic debt. Let's say, not only that, but you're giving people the means of control when you ask for money. So let's say a business comes to me and it's like, hey, can you do this for me? And I'll say, yeah, that'll be $500. So they pay me $500, and now I'm on contract to do that thing for them. And now they have some say in how I control and what time I show up, how often I do that thing, right? It's a karmic contract. I've just entered into a contract as soon as I accept that monetary agreement. I would much rather work for free and just, if there's anything you want to give me, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too, right? Much easier. You're not controlled, you're free, and you're always in service. So think about that for a while, right? I mean, for one thing, do your best not to draw energy off of people. For one thing, when you're thinking negatively, you're unconsciously pulling energy from them, because you're not thinking good about you. I mean, the only reason you think about negatively about anybody else is because you're thinking negatively about yourself unknowingly. A lot of times it's unconscious if you're not conscious of it. A lot of us hold so many childhood woundings that some of that stuff is buried so deep that you don't even realize that you're that's the source of it, but that's always the source of it, because it's an energy that was projected on you at a very early age to make you feel less than. And so unconsciously, you will unconsciously victimize the people around you, because your reality is always trying to find a balance. It always will. I mean, I became a chemical engineer. I was moving towards a chemical engineering degree. Chemistry is all about balance. Stoichiometric equations are all about balancing that equation. It has to come to balance. Everything has to come to balance. So if you're pulling from your environment, then your environment will pull from you. Best thing to do is to align with source, and then align yourself with source to provide for your environment, and then you can choose how it comes back to you, right? So, a lot of, this is a YouTube video. So if you guys watch YouTube readers, psychic readers, they pretty much know, if they don't understand this concept, then they will after watching this video, or you could tell them about it. But some of them do, and I know they do, and they just don't talk about it, because it's kind of the key to immortality. Because if you're feeding off your environment, you're just like a beast of the field, right? You're feeding off each other, thinking negatively, attacking each other. And so the readers that you see that are reading those scenarios have to stay in a neutral position and then cleanse their environment, make sure that they're not thinking negatively about either one, because somebody that's attacking somebody else is just doing it from a lower understanding. It really gives you a lot of empathy for people, because all of us have been in a situation where we've unconsciously held grudges, or all kinds of things. I can't say that I have never done that, but once you get to a certain place in your spiritual awareness and your self-awareness, you don't do that anymore, because you understand that all that thinking and all that mentality just came from a lower understanding, and you were just unconsciously causing yourself harm. So eventually, we will keep moving towards pure altruism, because that's the elevated state of awareness. Now, I'd like you to think about this for a while. If you became purely altruistic and installed yourself into a group of business people that were trying to draw energy off of each other and you, especially when you start building this concept, and if they start negatively thinking about you, think about how many negative karmic cycles you're unconsciously putting them in, and them not knowing what they're doing to themselves. It's the part of their learning lesson, right? Because it's not a good idea to feed off of anybody if they're not trying to feed off of you. It just has a rebounding effect. That energy just comes back. Now, it'd be different if I was thinking negative, if you were thinking negatively about them, because now you're in a conflict. Now they can draw energy in both directions. But once you get to that place, there isn't anything that can harm you, right? There's no way if you're not thinking negatively or about anybody, and you just see that's just a growing cycle of awareness. And then even if people just don't choose to grow, that's fine, right? Everybody has freedom of choice. You can learn your lessons in however many lifetimes it takes. But what you're doing, not only that, think of it this way, is all of the ancestors that are connected with that person, and you're doing things for free, and it's your intent to love that person and elevate their awareness, their ancestors are on your side. If they're trying to pull from you, then their ancestors are not on their side. So you have both sets of ancestors in any relationship that you come in contact with when you are altruistically helping people. Now, if you come into an equal exchange of energy where somebody is altruistically, you've created those good boundaries, and now you're altruistically helping each other, now you've got, both of you have access to both sets of ancestry. And that's that was one of the secrets that Jesus didn't talk about, but I mean he kind of said it very nonchalantly. When there was he said, you're surrounded by, I think somebody made a comment, and I can't remember what book it is, but one of the apostles made a comment about the non-physical or protection or something like that, and he just points out, we're surrounded by angels right now, right? Angels being all of the non-physical back to source, because if you are in service to the whole without asking anything in return, you have access to all the non-physical of that. Think about that for a while, guys. I mean, this is an important video because everything comes from source, and then it works through the non-physical until it manifests into the things that we see. And this is just the slowest moving form of light, right? And three-dimensional light. I guess there's two-dimensional, but I don't know. Two-dimensional dimension is just so far below what we're experiencing that it'd be impossible to really think of it that way. I don't know. Anyway, there's so many non-physical entities, and fifth dimension, seventh dimension, on up, all the way back to source. And if you're always in service to all of it, then you'll be supported. There's nothing that has power over you. Fear should go bye-bye. You should have no fear or anxiety, and it will always be just working in your favor, and you don't need to save for tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. I mean, the worst thing that can happen to you if you're not in conflict with anybody is you just end up in the Five of Pentacles forever, but is if you're not serving anybody, right? If you're just sitting in a cave, you're not doing anything, you're not doing anything for anybody else, then yeah, you'll just end up in the Five of Pentacles. But if you are constantly in service to your environment, and you're constantly pushing positive energy out there and doing whatever you're asked, doing things for people whenever they need it, then you'll always be supported. And that's true freedom, right? Where you don't have to work to try and sell yourself, or work to try and do this or that. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you like it, make a comment, because it's not an easy path, because you have to overcome so many fears along the way. Because you're always, until you really understand how it works and see it day to day after day, in a day out, you'll be scared of what's tomorrow going to bring. Will I be taken care of? Am I going to end up in a ditch, right? Or am I going to have to eat worms every day? For me personally, I get so along with nature, it wouldn't matter where I'm at, man. I'm to the point where you get to where you just don't need hardly anything. I mean, I still get my, chai tea lattes, but, I don't have to have these. Although this one's especially delicious. I'm going to let you guys go. Have a happy Friday. I didn't get it on yesterday because I had so much stuff going on, but I was getting pulled in so many directions. Every day is different. So, but have a happy weekend. If I don't come on here tomorrow, probably will come on here tomorrow. I always have something to talk about. I think maybe epigenetics and how to change your genome. Epigenetics has a lot to do with how your genes change in your environment, but that's not exactly true. Love you guys. Have a good day.